Well, I'm glad you're on here. I'm glad you're on here, Liz, because it'll help a lot of our followers here and subscribers here and insiders here to understand the declaration from 1776. Now, I've got Laura on here as well, because Laura's a good friend of mine and she understands a lot of these financial things, and she brings a bit of color to it. And I've got Simon along as well, because Simon's been on this journey for a very long time. He and I have become very close. We speak every single day. We share information with a view to enlightening more and more people. And going back, first of all, I need to apologize to everybody for not getting this out on Sunday. I was expecting to get it on Saturday and then to get it out on Sunday, and it came on Sunday night, so I had to get it out. I got it out to as many people as I could on Monday morning, this morning. I sent it to Laura, I sent it to Judy Byington, I sent it to a number of different people just to get out there so that we can discuss it this evening, so that we get an understanding. Because this is the benchmark, if you like. This is the red line that has been laid out for and on behalf of the people of America, that is now challenging the deep state and the cabal head on. And this is put out in writing. This is the first document. There will be many more other documents that follow this that will come out. I've asked Jimmy to make sure that everybody gets a copy so they can read it in their own time. But today is to go through very, very simply where we're at. And where we're at right now is this declaration has been published. It's come from the very, very top. And it went across the lawyers, it went across a number of lawyers' desks before they let me have it, to make sure that the wording was accurate and right. And the first part, for anybody who knows that, and Liz would know better than most about the 1776, the Declaration of 1776, the Constitution. This is virtually word for word at the beginning, as Laura pointed out as well. Very, very much the start of this is exactly that. And it's taking them on and it's laying out, and it's very interesting what they've actually done in laying out. And when I was speaking to Simon earlier, we were talking about the financial side, the quantum financial system and the RV. But until the ground rules are laid out, that can't happen. So this had to happen first, and this has now happened. And we see the laying out of the election fraud, which they have everything there. Now, anybody who understands the game of poker will understand what's happened now with Arizona. They've got a handful of cards and they've held them all back from the public. Yes, for 7 months, we've been pulling our hair out. Well, I certainly have, because I've wanted those results out quickly. They haven't for their own reasons, and now I can see why. They've kept it. They've kept it the same with Georgia, the same with Pennsylvania, the same. There's a number of them. They've kept the results back on purpose, because this is all the ammunition. But now they've laid this out. It will be very interesting to see how they react, how the mainstream media react, whether there's, whether they realize, because at the moment the mainstream media is still refusing to cover anything. And when I say refusing to cover anything, I'm talking about the overthrowing of the government in Iceland, the court cases in Alberta in Canada, that and also in Germany, that pointed out very clearly that COVID-19 does not exist. They've now, the WHO, the CDC, and the FDA have been unable to provide a shred of evidence in a court of law that it even exists, and yet the mainstream media have refused to cover it. So this has all been laid out in this document. And what I'll do, Jimmy, is, or maybe Liz can give her view first of all on the Declaration of 1776.
Well, like you said, you highlighted the essence of it on the first page, and well, the bottom line, in my estimation, is this: that the deep state has violated every precept that we hold dear regarding our Constitution and our values. And the executive order that Trump signed on September 12th of 2018 will actually summarize and bring together the teeth and the reason behind the arrest of all of these perpetrators that have intended to deliberately and are consistently deliberately, with incredible malfeasance, tearing down every aspect of our Constitution and our rights, including the mainstream media, because they are collaborators in perpetrating the lie of the election and therefore guilty of high treason. That executive order 13848 also stipulates that the assets will be seized of these perpetrators. And I'm sure that he's been giving us hints that he intends to sue the CCP for what they have done, not only in that regard, but also, of course, with the COVID and the scamdemic. So essentially, I think the executive order of September 12, 2018, 13848 is going to handle this, in my opinion.
Okay. I will hand over to Simon here. Simon,
I think people will look back and realize history is in the making. We see so many statements and so much on social media or the internet or YouTube that for many people, it doesn't actually have the impact it should. If you imagine a house that's built, Charlie, you start with the foundations. And when the foundations are good, you add on level after level. And this foundation is nothing more than a call, not just to the American people, but to the people of the world to say, here is everything in order, it's structured. And this is what's been done to you, the people. And I think, and I hope that over the coming days, Charlie, when you receive updates, they'll be dealing with specific aspects. And Mel Kay and you picked up some important points earlier, and that was that there's going to be a good, clear route for people to sue the vaccine companies. And I said, well, if 100 million Americans sue and each man and woman is awarded $1 billion, that is the end of the pharmaceutical industry in the United States and probably across the planet. So I'm really excited because I see what this is. For me, this is the starting gun, Charlie. This is the gun at the beginning of the race. And all the things that all patriots want now will follow. Not in the order that we want, but I believe they'll follow.
Yep. Laura?
I have to agree with Simon. I read the declaration. It's not just a declaration, it's a denunciation of the crimes that are being committed as we speak against everybody on the planet, really, not just the US, although it's a very US specific declaration. It does make mention that it's a global situation that we're facing. So it's a denunciation, it's a declaration, and actually what I liked most about it is that it's a call for action. It spells out certain steps that every one of us can take to help in the process of changing this incredible situation that we're now facing. Like Simon said, it is history in the making. And I think that this sort of declaration helps people put things into perspective. It lays down, it actually mentions everything from the election fraud to the vaccines, to the human trafficking, to the satanic sacrifices. I mean, it doesn't really leave out much. It's quite a red pill for anyone that's not in the know. They're going to think, oh, goodness, there's us a lot here to handle, but those of us that have been aware of things for a little longer, it's a wonderful document that lays out what we've been through, what we're still going through. And again, it calls for action. It very clearly says at the end, we can do something about this. You know, call on your representatives and your legislators. Let's get the ball rolling. Let's get things started. Let's stand up and fight. Let's resist this.
And there's also one line in there that I liked as well, for imposing taxes on us without our consent.
Yeah, I did love that one too.
Exactly. But they've covered everything. You're absolutely right. And the mention of human trafficking, before I started this journey, I had no idea of the scale of the human trafficking. I think, were we talking today, Simon? Was it you that we were talking about?
Yeah.
With how many children have gone missing on the border?
Yes.
Between Mexico, 7,000 or 8,000 children. Thousands of children just gone missing. And this, you know, I'm a father and a grandfather. If you lose one child, that's devastation. We're talking thousands of children, and the mainstream media are not covering it. And you have to ask yourself, why not? Because the media happen to be run by men and women who are fathers and mothers. Do they have no conscience? Do they have no moral compass, no standing? I find it absolutely mind-numbing that that this has been going on for so long. You know, I remember when I was on YouTube, when I was a good boy, and I published at 3.
Are you ever, Charlie? Were you ever? I don't
no.
know.
No, when I'm good, Laura, I'm very, very good. But when I'm bad, I'm even better.
I bet.
Yeah, I remember publishing that there was 300,000 children went missing every year in England. I remember publishing it, and Forbes fact-checked me and said it's only 150,000, and I went, I don't give a shit. One is too many.
Absolutely.
One is too many children going missing. And you think it's acceptable? 150,000? That's 300 children a day.
Yeah, it's only a small land. One of the things about the document's really important, Charlie, and we
Yes.
did touch on it earlier, was that it's written on behalf of the people.
Yes.
So it doesn't come from this individual necessarily or this organization. It is the people. And you could loosely, legally look on it as an appeal to the military from the people to become involved. There's that side to it. Now, I know that you don't want the author, you know, outed, but I, you know me, Charlie, and I have to have some fun. And I will say to you that people who watch me, they know that, you know, I have my favorite actor. My favorite actor is Patrick McGoohan, and he starred in The Prisoner. And the 2 episodes I really liked. One was called Hammer into Anvil, and the other episode was called The General. And one of the silent actors I really liked was Buster Keaton, and he did a silent movie called The General. So, you know, this document isn't just been knocked up by a 14-year-old kid off school. This has come from the highest in the land, tasked with this issue. This is the same organization that is trying to motivate the patriots. It's the same organization that is fighting for truth and justice. It's just different aspects of it. So history will look back and say that this document represented the beginning of the end of the cabal.
I totally agree. Yes, I do know the author. But it was not just written by one person. This was a group of people who put this together, a group of brilliant minds. And once it was put together, it went across a number of desks, let's put it that way, on the legal and on the spiritual side. So it wasn't just whacked out to me in a hurry. That's why we didn't get it on Sunday. That's why we're talking about it on Monday. And I apologize that we're a day late, but for me, it was worth waiting for, because this is a line in the sand. There's many people out there who've been saying, Charlie, give me some evidence, give me something. Well, here we go. Here's the first document. Here we have it. And we start to see it. I've read it 3 times. I shall read it again, probably twice again tonight, because I learn more from the spirit of it the more I read it. And I think it's very, very constructive. And Laura alluded to it earlier, and so did Simon, with regard to the fact that it's very, very interesting that they've purposefully put into there about being financially compensated for any injury caused by this. Don't ever think there's not enough money out there to do this. Big Pharma have stashed away billions and billions of dollars for completely fake stuff. And they were coming out the other day saying, oh, we're financially, we're right on the edge, in the hopes that people wouldn't go after them. The people deserve to go after them, and they deserve to get compensated, and they will get compensated 100%.
Do you
And
think, Charlie, that is some way of mentioning Nazara Gazara? Is that I sort of read that into it, and they make mention in the same paragraph of the Federal Reserve, United
Yes.
Nations, the entire infrastructure of the executive branches of the cabal mainly.
Yes, exactly.
When they declare this need for compensation to humanity very much for everything that's been going on and is still going on, I thought of, Gazara just jumped into my mind as I was reading those words.
I think you're absolutely right, and it's very, very interesting how they did put that into the same paragraph, starting off with compensation and liability for harm against those who have been coerced into taking the COVID-19 vaccination via mass media influence and federal government influence, as well as mandates with illegal passage of the use of the vaccine approvals from the FDA. So they've got everything there. So that they're making people aware that the pathway is now clear, and they've named them the United Nations or nation, the Federal Reserve, the Council of Foreign Relations.
Even the IRS, even the Internal Revenue Service is mentioned in the same paragraph, which is interesting.
Yep, it is. It is.
I think what shocked me was they've come out in black and white and said how many people they expect to die from having 2 doses of vaccine, and that for me is quite shocking, Charlie. Before we go, I just want to thank Andy. Andy's told me that he's got the letter up on my website. He did it 6:01. I said I didn't want to steal your thunder, Charlie, so it went up at 6:01.
Look, I'll be honest with you. Somebody said to me this morning, in fact, Lara was the first one, do you mind if I put it out? And I went, no, I want it out. It's not about Charlie's thunder. It's about getting the truth out there as quickly as possible to everybody out there, so that we can start moving forward.
I wasn't sure whether there was a moratorium from Florida on it or anything like that.
No, the only moratorium from Florida was happy birthday, Simon.
Oh, that's for tomorrow. Thank you.
Tomorrow, I know. He's catching me up tomorrow.
Yeah, slowly but surely, Charlie.
Yeah, Jimmy, have you got anything to say there?
I was reading it over because I've been busy with everything this morning, and it definitely is well thought out, and it spelled for people that don't know. Well, read this document and read it a couple different times, and that's what I'm hearing, that this is happening, whether they like it or not, the deep state. So it's going to be exciting. I think we need to keep praying and declaring and decreeing and working together, but we all got to get involved. Like you said many times, everybody's a piece of the puzzle, and this is putting them on notice in a big way. And it's got everything in there, and it's exciting to see that.
Please, everybody here, please share this far and wide, because this will just help to take away people's fear. And a big thank you to Jimmy for getting this together very, very quickly, because I sent him messages while he was asleep, so he's had to do it first thing this morning. And we've still got top numbers here of people online who've been able to join us well, we have this wonderful moment to get this out there to the public. That I feel very, very blessed that they trusted myself to do this. I really do. But it comes with a responsibility.
Well,
Yeah, and we'll increase, these servers are getting smashed. I mean, and
Yeah.
I think some of them are also attacks at the same time.
Yeah.
Because you got a lot of good people wanting this information, but you got a lot of bad people that don't want this information to get
Sure.
out, right? So they're attacking it at the same time. So we'll make sure everybody gets it. And, we'll increase and we'll, if we have to put a barrier in between to stop these attacks even more, they can't get into the systems, but they definitely can flood them with traffic every second like they're doing right now. by the
Yeah,
way.
sure. That's good.
Well, very interesting.
So
That tells me it wouldn't be happening if you ain't on target. I mean,
Sure.
it wouldn't, why would they do it? Right? Why would they do it?
Well, let's take a couple of questions while we're in. Sorry, Lara, go on.
No, I actually just wanted to make a comment based on what I've been seeing in the last couple of months. Just that's been very encouraging for me to watch is people really becoming so much more informed and so empowered to standing up against a lot of the rights violations that we've been watching and we've been, being put under. And this declaration, I think, just furthers that conviction that people do have the power, and that it's just about knowing the knowledge, having the knowledge of knowing that you are a sovereign being. It even makes mention of admiralty law versus common law.
Yes.
So it really is spelling out everything that one pretty much really needs to know now to survive this madness and to fight it and to win this war. So that was very encouraging for me to see, because I've really been watching videos of people really standing up to authority and saying enough is enough.
Yeah.
Well, and also to keep in mind that the forced mandates for the vaccination are a violation of the Nuremberg codes. This is a really specific document also, and a specific action legally that affects everyone globally. That is another aspect that they will refer to frequently. But in 2012, the conclusion of those who have access to the Looking Glass Project determined that there is an inevitable outcome that will happen at some point. And that's where all of the timelines converge to one place, and that is called the Great Awakening. That, ladies and gentlemen, is where we're at right now. In particular, in the United States, it seems like most people, with the exception of some who are just truly comatose and or truly complacent, are awakened to the fact that this is not right. But our president, in his wisdom, his ability as a 5D chess player, has already foreseen. They have gamed all of these particular outcomes into the quantum computer and or supercomputers, and have come to several strategies that make our success and our victories an absolute. So people shouldn't be in fear. They should know that nothing can stop this. And they've thought of every conceivable outcome, and it will be handled, and it is being handled.
Yeah.
And
And
to add to that, sorry, Charlie, but
Okay.
what Liz was mentioning is very important, and it is very true. And I think that we've heard this phrase of nothing can stop what is coming. And I think in a lot of people's minds, it felt like something from the outside was going to happen to save us. But I think what cannot be stopped is the awakening.
Right.
And it is in the awakening of all of us that we win this war. I think that's a very important message to get across to people, because we really do have to save ourselves here. And it can only happen once we're aware and we're awakened and we're informed and we're empowered by the understanding that we are strong, powerful, sovereign beings. So that's what cannot be stopped. The awakening cannot be stopped. And this is really, again, going back to the declaration, yet another, layer on that is going to be building upon the process.
It's very interesting also today. I'm going to shout out to Mike Shinton, who sent me the details across today in Birmingham in England. a number of people went into Primark to protest for 5 minutes about the pop-up vaccination that they were doing in their shops. And interestingly enough, Primark worldwide has changed their minds now and gone backwards on that, and they're no longer doing it. So it only took a small group of people to go into Primark in Birmingham to change things. And this is a big lesson to us all. It doesn't take a majority of people. It takes a small group of committed people to go into these places and point out the evidence to create change. And, you know, I'm just one single person. Simon's one single person. Jimmy's one. Laura's one. Liz is one. We've all created change in our own way, just by doing our own thing. And it started. I started this with 37 followers. That's where I started 18 months ago. And if I can do it, anybody can do it. I promise you. It's time now. This is a call to action. This is a time to get off your backside and do something, because now you have a blueprint on how to do it. It's very, very simple. It's all there in black and white. And when I do the Insiders Club on Wednesday, you can, once you've read this through, get your questions together, and we'll spend the Insiders Club on Wednesday going through your questions, because there'll be plenty of questions. I have no problem. I've read it 3 times and I've had questions myself, and I've had to go and ask people. So we'll give you time to digest it, but I can assure you today is a very, very, very special day. It will go down in history. Today will go down in history as the line in the sand was today.
I think also, Charlie, it's important to remember that when the president is visible as the president, because he still is our president, I look for him to issue what would be the a proclamation of independence. It's something that President Lincoln issued, and it was called the Emancipation Proclamation. I believe this would be considered in history the Emancipation Proclamation 2.0, because it not only is a clear line in the sand, as all of you have said, but it also is a remembrance of that this is a government of the people, by the people, and for the people. And as Trump has always said, I'm giving you your country back. But he's doing more than that, as everyone else has alluded to. This is an emancipation proclamation for the whole world, that he is already had his team setting out all of the precepts and the necessary steps to enact this, to indeed give us back our sovereignty.
As
100%.
this is the Insiders Club, let me just bring it back to a little bit about it. Might be interesting. And I played my part in this as much as I could. That it was put out as much as we could that the World Court had decided that a week ago would be the last date that the RV would be tax exempt, and that after a certain date, that tax exemption would be lost, and therefore the world governments could tax up to 40% of the money. Now that meant that the bad guys assumed that the good guys were going to have to be pushed into that timeline, and therefore an enormous amount of bad guy traps or tricks were set. They imagined that this release was going to occur sort of the 1st of September. It didn't. And I wanted to just tell everyone that and it makes perfect sense, that the World Court has decided that the tax exemption date, the earliest or the latest, will be the 12th of September. So if you think about, 9/11, the day after. So I would suggest that things are going to move very, very quickly now. And there's nothing stopping people going back to the court and asking for an extension of that. So time and time again, the bad guys have been tricked or trapped or sent down a one-way street. So I'm very pleased at where we are now. I'm quite relieved. I'm quite relieved that this is out, because there's no going back now. There is no going back. This is an official statement, and we can only go forward. And I'm really privileged to be part of it.
Well, here, Simon, in the United States on March 15th, 2020, the president did the unprecedented where he merged the Federal Reserve's balance sheet into our Treasury's balance sheet. And Secretary of Treasury Steve Mnuchin announced this at the end of March, 2 weeks later, when asked by the prostitutes, those in the Rose Garden who worked for the mainstream media, how the government was going to pay for all the stimulus programs. And he just casually said with his deadpan expression, we have merged the Federal Reserve's balance sheet into the Treasury's, announcing that Trump had officially taken down the IRS, the bagman for the Federal Reserve and the Federal Reserve itself. And that process has been an ongoing dismantling since March 15th, 2020. And then, of course, prior to that, when that special ops raid took down the 13 bloodline families in Venice, so that, as Charlie likes to call it, the head of the snake was cut off then. So in terms of, for the United States, any kind of tax event or taxable event, that is absolutely a fait accompli. It is definitely not going to take place. In other parts of the world, we know that they, especially in the UK, as you guys know, you have exorbitant tax rates that are even worse than in the United States. But I look for what you had just said, that this indeed could happen before then, so that the redemption process is not a taxable event for individual investors. End of statement.
Yeah, well said.
Well, thank you very, very much, guys, for joining me, because this is a momentous day. This is the start of what we've been waiting for, because I've had to spend my time checking out to see if the earth is round or flat and doing all my numbers to keep me from not talking too much about this. But now the cat's out of the bag and we're going to have a lot more other stuff here coming this way. So hopefully I won't get told off as much, because it's all coming direct from source now, and it's all being approved right from the very top. And when for those people who don't understand what that means, that's why the name at the bottom of the page is Man of God. That means it's come right from the top, and you can work it out for yourself who's at the top. And but I can assure you it's come right from the top, and it's not just one person. There's a team of people at the top. But thank you very much. Thank you, Jimmy. Thank you, Laura. Thank you, Liz. Thank you, Simon. And
Do you want this out to the public, Dr. Charlie, this video?
I think it's very important we get it out to the public, and I wanted the insiders to hear this first, and to give them the opportunity so that they can spread this far and wide and get as many questions for Wednesday as possible.
Okay,
And,
we are beefing up the servers, by the way. There was some attacks, but there's a lot of real people. You, Simon, and Charlie, we're beefing everything up to handle, because if this is going to continue to come out, and I'm hearing a lot more is coming out from now till Thanksgiving, I'm sure the servers are going to get hit more than they've ever been hit before. So we're on it. We're going to take care of it.
Thank you very much.
You're going to be posting this document in the back office too, as well. Will we have it also on the main page?
Yes,
okay.
Both with this video, and then underneath it will be that. It'll be there.
Yeah, and it literally will follow the same format. That when I get a document, I'll let Jimmy know as soon as I possibly can, so that he can let everybody else know, because I want to get this out to everybody as quickly as possible, because COVID-19 won't hurt you, but fear will.
Definitely. Thank you, Charlie. Great to see you.
Thank you, Laura.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you,
Charlie.
Liz. Thank you, Jimmy. Thank you, Simon. Happy birthday, buddy.
Happy birthday, Simon.
Simon.
Birthday.